I have some advice for you. Don't stop at the farmhouses on Highway 212. And don't eat the food and don't go inside. I'm writing this on my phone. Battery at 8%. Now if someone finds this, tell my sister I'm so sorry that I missed her wedding. My name's James Murphy. Now 3 days ago my car had died on Highway 212 in Montana and there was no cell service and I saw a farmhouse sitting far off the highway, half hidden in the dark, and I walked over to it and, well, that was my first mistake. The man who answered the door, he looked like somebody's grandpa. He wore a red flannel shirt, the kind with the little round snap buttons down the front. And he smiled when he saw me. Car trouble? Yeah, transmission. I paused, looking around in the darkness beyond his porch. No other houses around for miles, no lights, nothing. Do you have a phone, sir, that I could use? Why, sure. Come on in. My name's Henry. His handshake was warm. The house, it smelled incredible, like roasting meats and garlic and herbs, and on my stomach it was growling loud enough for him to hear. The old man laughed. When'd you eat last, young'un? Oh, around 1 o'clock, just, lunch. Well, hell, it's past 8 now. Why don't you pull up a chair and sit down? I got a roast in the oven. More than enough for two. I should have said no. I used the phone and I waited outside, but I was starving and it smelled so good and he seemed so genuinely kind. We ate in his kitchen. The meat, it was perfect. Tender, seasoned just right. He told stories about growing up on his farm and his wife who died and a daughter in Denver who never even called him anymore. I didn't ask any questions. I just sat there thinking it must be pretty rough being this alone and this forgotten. I relaxed a little bit. And then after dinner, he brought out the phone, an old rotary model, the kind you dial. I dialed AAA. Nothing. Huh? Henry paused. Huh, the lines must be down. Happens sometimes. They'll be back up in the morning. Why don't you sleep on the couch? It's comfortable. If you want to stay, that is. I hesitated. Or you could just walk back up yonder to your car up there in the dark. It's your choice, but there are no lights on that road. Well, he was right. I'd already walked that road once in the dark, and I couldn't see 2 feet in front of me. I didn't feel like doing it again. He set me up on the couch with a blanket and a pillow. He showed me where the bathroom was. I appreciate it, sir, I said, not sure about sleeping on the couch in a stranger's home, but what choice did I have? Oh, don't mention it. That's what neighbors are for. Well, I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. It just felt like something was off. Now, around midnight, I got up to use the bathroom, and it was down the hallway, and I passed several closed doors on the way there, and when I came back out, one of the doors was open. I knew it had been closed before, I was sure of it. I looked inside, and it was real dark in there, and there was a switch, so I flipped it. A freezer. Industrial size. The kind you see in restaurant kitchens? Well, curiosity got the best of me and I opened it. The cold hit me first and then the smell. The meat and frost and something kind of like a chemical smell. There were packages inside wrapped in white butcher paper and labeled in black marker. I picked one up. M. Patterson, March 14th, chuck roast, 4.2 pounds. I grabbed another one. J. Baker, July 22nd, tenderloin, 3.8 pounds. I decided to look at another one. S. Lisa, September 3rd, shoulder, 6.1 pounds. Full names, dates, cuts of meat. My hands, they were shaking. I dropped the packages. The ones I were holding in my hand, they hit the floor like a brick. Find something interesting in there, sonny boy? I spun around. Henry stood in the doorway, still wearing that red flannel shirt with the little round snap button, smiling. These names on here, what are they? Guests, like you. You're killing people! Oh, no, I'm not killing people, no. He shook his head, looking genuinely offended. I'm feeding people. There's a difference, you know. He stepped into the room. You were hungry and I fed you. And when you're gone, I'll feed someone else. I ran. I shoved past him and sprinted for the front door, but it was locked. You're making this a lot harder than it needs to be, James. I found a bedroom, and I locked myself inside, and I pushed a dresser against the drawer. I pushed the dresser against the door. My chest was heaving, and I pressed my back against the dresser, and I looked all around the room, and there was a window with no bars. I ran to the window and I looked down, 20 feet of open air, nothing but hard concrete below. Behind me, the dresser scraped across the floor. The handle, it turned. You know, I understand, James. Everybody panics at first, you know. I looked around for a weapon and I found a lamp in the corner and I ripped the cord out and I held it like a club. You're already part of the cycle, James. Fighting it now seems so ungrateful. The door handle had stopped turning. There was silence. And then I heard his footsteps going back downstairs. I waited a whole hour, maybe two, but nothing. Not a sound. At dawn, I moved the dresser and I opened the door slowly. The hallway was empty. I crept downstairs. The front door was unlocked. Henry sat at the kitchen table drinking coffee and reading a newspaper like it was just any other morning. Good morning. The coffee's fresh if you want some. I just stared at him. Door's open, you can leave. You know, you could go walk back to your car and try to get some help. You just let me go? Well, of course I am. I'm not a monster, James. He sipped his coffee. I'm not gonna force you to stay. I didn't trust his words, but the door was open, and I ran down the driveway and hit the main road, walking fast in the direction where I'd left my car. But it was gone, like it had never even been there. I kept walking and walking. Hours passed. The sun had got higher and hotter, and I had no water, no food, and not even a single car passed the entire time. Eventually my legs, they gave out, and I sat down right there in the middle of the road, head in my hands, trying to think, trying to make sense of it all. The road, it stretched out in both directions and looked exactly the same either way, and just flat and empty and going nowhere. And that's when I looked up and I saw a house in the distance. I already knew before I started walking toward it. It was Henry's farmhouse. I stood there for a really long time just staring at it, and the road, it just must have curved or something. I must have walked in a big circle. I told myself that, and I turned around and I started walking in the other direction. 4 hours later, I was back at Henry's farm, and he was sitting on the porch, rocking in his chair like he'd been waiting for me. Yep, the roads are kind of funny out here. Easy to get turned around. My legs. It gave out on this lawn and I hit the ground hard and everything went dark. And when I came to, I was on the couch. A glass of water was on the table beside me and Henry in the armchair across the room watching me with that same patient expression that he always had on his face. I drank the water without even thinking. I was just so thirsty, and I was too thirsty to care anyway. You see now? There's nowhere to go. Farm is special. Once you're here, really here, you can never leave. Not alive anyway. How long? I whispered. How long for what? How long have you been doing this? He thought for a moment, and it was like I asked him something as ordinary as how long he lived in that house. Well, it's hard to say. Time moves quite differently here. Maybe 20 years, 30, maybe more. After a while, you just stop counting the years. Why me? Why? Why anyone, James? My hands, they started shaking. The room, it started spinning. I tried to focus, but I just couldn't. Everything was fading. He stood up. Why don't you just go on and get yourself some rest now, James? I find the ones who fight back are kind of bitter. Everything went black again. And that was 3 days ago. I know this is long, and I keep telling myself that writing it keeps me calm, and he moved me to the basement this morning. I didn't fight back. I'm not sure I could have, even if I tried. He brings me food 3 times a day. Roasted vegetables, fresh bread, water, no meat. I've been writing this between his visits. Waiting for a moment, alone with my phone. Oh, the battery's at 2%. If you find this, don't stop at the farmhouses on Highway 212 and don't eat the food, please don't, and don't even go inside. Then I heard it. Footsteps. They were above me. A door opening. Hello? Is anyone here? Our car broke down. Do you have a phone? We seem to have no signal out here. It was a woman and a child. Well, of course, of course. Henry's voice said, all warm and welcoming as the day I arrived. Just come on in. I tried to scream. Nothing came out but a raw scrape of air. Oh, I see you have a little one. How old? Oh, he's 7. I've been driving for hours and... Mommy, I'm hungry. A small voice said. It was a child's voice. Well, I got some stew on the stove. Just finished it. I heard their footsteps moving slowly above me towards the kitchen, and I pounded on the ceiling until my knuckles split open and bled, but nothing happened. And then came the sounds. The chairs scraping across the floor and spoons hitting bowls. And then silence. Something heavy hit the floor above me. Cold air began seeping through the boards, wrapping around me in the dark. A single pair of footsteps moved through the kitchen and stopped. A long silence stretched out, and then Henry's voice drifted down from above, so low I could barely hear it. My phone screen went black.